Hi guys, today's like goal is 10 likes. Let's start. Lan's focus was fixed on Lu Shang, and his eyes widened with intrigue. His device for measuring strength indicated that Lu Shang possessed an extraordinary combat value of 135 points. Yet he remained at level 9, Lan wondered, since when the Crimson Eye pirate clan had members of such caliber, leading him to assume he must be a newcomer. His eyes sparkled with fury, and his body was enveloped in golden martial energy. Lu Shang clenched his fists tightly and stared silently at Lan. Lu Shang's aura flared, and flames shot toward Lan, ready to strike. Seeing this, Lan activated his power, causing azure martial energy to swirl around him. He reached up to touch his mask, a grin spreading across his face. He was astonished to see that Lu Shang's combat value had already exceeded 1,000 points. To him, it was an astonishing fact that someone of only level 9 could attain such star power. With this realization, he was no longer surprised that Crimson Eye had recruited him. Surrounded by flames, Lu Shang advanced rapidly toward Lan, intent on ending him. Lan stood motionless, observing in silence. Several seconds later, his eyes widened in shock. He couldn't believe that Lu Shang's combat value had surpassed 10,000. To his greatest amazement, he noticed the figure kept climbing closer and closer. The device continued, calculating Lu Shang's strength, jumping from 10,000 to 40,000, leaving Lan speechless. Moments later, it reached 50,000, and shortly after, Lan's mask began to fracture as Lu Shang's combat value soared past 90,000 star points. His mask shattered into fragments, revealing his true face. A scar adorned his eye. His attention remained fixed on Lu Shang, and his mind was flooded with confusion and astonishment. He was clueless about what was happening or who he truly was. The device calculating Lu Shang's strength started malfunctioning, with several windows popping up, reporting system failures. At that moment, Lu Shang appeared before Lan. His eyes blazed with fury as he fixed his gaze on him with a murderous intent, ready to attack. Lan lifted his head, panic rising within him at the sight. Recognizing the danger, he couldn't help but panic, an angry expression on his face. He wondered what kind of joke this was. He couldn't believe that someone possessed power beyond the evaluation limit, surpassing 10,000 points while only being level 9. It was utterly absurd. Lu Shang leaped and concentrated his energy, eyes shining brightly. He decided to invoke the ancient fist technique from the 5th era, called the Heavenly and Earthly Furnace. Summoning a blazing sun behind him, Lan froze in terror, having never witnessed such a formidable technique before. Lu Shang's eyes began to glow with rage. Since Lan had destroyed his spaceship, he knew he had to pay. Soon after, Lu Shang's form transformed into a mighty fire phoenix, flapping its wings and roaring. Lan's attention was drawn to it, and his mind was filled with awe. He refused to stand idly by. As his body emanated martial energy, he drew his sword. Just as Lu Shang's fist was about to strike, Lan swung his sword to block the blow. Lu Shang chose not to hold back, exerting all his strength. Lan held his ground and managed to deflect the attack. The fight grew so intense that a wave of energy radiated throughout the space, with a determined gaze in Lu Shang's eyes. He focused again and struck, unleashing red energy from his body. Using his sword, Lan managed to block the assault, clenching his teeth and eyes widening in fear and astonishment. He couldn't believe he needed to summon all his strength just to halt him. He wondered, since when do star pirates have such a powerful member? A grimace appeared on his face. Lan clenched his teeth and looked down, thinking that, according to him, star space parasites had to be exterminated. With eyes blazing with resolve, he stared at Lu Shang, extended his hand, and began channeling his energy into the sword's blade. He focused on the floating rocks in outer space, which started to move. Lan stretched out his hand again, and a powerful surge of flesh-like energy erupted from it. Soon, the rocks approached him. Seeing this, Lu Shang clenched his teeth tightly, eyes widening with surprise and dread, sensing imminent danger. The rocks detonated, unleashing a massive explosion of martial energy that destroyed everything in its path, creating a cloud of smoke. Lu Shang emerged from the smoke, using his feet to stabilize himself. Despite the explosion's ferocity, he remained unscathed. With a curious expression, he observed his hands. Realizing this was the power of a level 11 warrior, true martial fighter, many times stronger than the star pirates he had previously defeated with a single blow. He was the most formidable opponent he had faced so far. The young man placed his hand on his chest, his attention fixed on Lan, his eyes shining with excitement. A smile spread across his face, making it clear that the insult parasite mattered little to him. Even if Lan was a level 11 warrior, if he destroyed others' property without cause, he'd also have to pay. Lu Shang closed his eyes, extended his hands, and concentrated, activating the martial god state. Moments later, a radiant, golden flash burst from his body. Lan's eyes widened in astonishment. He couldn't believe this was the power a level 9 should possess. To him, it was obvious his opponent was an overhuman being of an extremely high level. With his body engulfed in martial flames, Lu Shang clenched his fists and charged swiftly toward Lan. A look of exhilaration on his face, he decided it was time to invoke the martial god form. As Lu Shang moved closer, Lan gripped his sword tightly, cursing the star pirates. Both launched attacks, their energies colliding and creating a powerful shockwave. The duel was evenly matched. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the galaxy, a ship executed a space jump, emerging shortly after through a blue portal. Inside the spacecraft sat the guide Lanchin. He looked toward the ground and felt relieved to have arrived just in time. He swore to himself that next time, he would definitely switch to a level 11 ship. He remembered the ship agent from star Z34548. Wai-san owed him a favor for 82 years, one that had yet to be repaid, so he figured he could get a good deal. Next to him stood Zolin, arms crossed, silent and lost in thought. He observed space and mentioned that the law officer of his star zone, White Mist, had not yet arrived, but apparently, the officer from star zone Yamu was already present. Hearing this, a joyful smile spread across Lanchin's face. He was now saved. Lanchin's ship traveled at high velocity through space. Soon after, another spaceship appeared ahead. His gaze fixed on it, and upon closer inspection, he recognized the maple leaf insignia indeed. It was the law enforcement vessel from the Yamu star zone. He rested his chin on his hand, sighed, and realized that this level 12 ship was probably beyond his means, even working his entire life, not counting all the favors he owed. With a calm expression, Yalan said that if he surpassed level 11 and was chosen as a law officer, he could also command such a ship. He chuckled, adding that perhaps his own ship might be even more luxurious. Lanchan lifted his head, a smile spreading across his face. Such a feat was even more unlikely than winning the grand prize in the stellar lottery. Suddenly, something caught their attention, freezing them in fear. Yalan went into shock, while Lanchan's eyes widened with confusion and amazement. Near the area where Lu Shang was fighting, a powerful purple martial flash appeared, drawing their focus. Lanchan rose from his seat, bewildered. His ship began to shake violently, and his eyes widened in surprise and terror. He realized that this fluctuation was, in fact, a battle between level 11 experts. The ship's system started analyzing, and after a few seconds, it displayed a scan showing the debris of the Demon Claw ship from the Crimson Eye Star pirate group. With a calm demeanor, Yalan remarked that the vessel had been completely obliterated, and it seemed the Crimson Eye pirates had indeed fallen. The battle was intense, with bodies releasing martial energies. Lu Shang and Lu Shang engaged in fierce combat. Zolin observed carefully, hypothesizing that the person fighting outside in the silver combat suit could be the justice officer of the Yamu Star Zone. Lu Shang moved swiftly, appearing in front of Lan. Seeing this, his eyes widened with surprise. Lan had no time to react. Lu Shang attacked with force, causing Lan's body to be thrown back with a look of shock. Yalan realized that the golden humanoid figure was not Crimson Eye, but was incredibly formidably its power, by no means inferior to that of the justice officer. In fact, it seemed to be surpassing him. This was terrifying and made him wonder if perhaps this being was also a star pirate. With eyes blazing with determination, Lan began to channel his energy into his sword, deciding it was time to end this battle. Just then, Lu Shang appeared again, grabbing him by the head. Panicking, Lan couldn't help but scream. Lu Shang launched rapid, fierce punches to his chest, causing Lan to cry out in agony. Before long, Lan lost consciousness. His face bloodied and his eyes turned white. Lu Shang, sweating, let out a sigh. With a serious expression, he turned and examined Lanchan's spaceship. Seeing this, Lanchan's eyes widened in shock, realizing it was Lu Shang. With a nervous expression, he slapped himself. Yalan's gaze fixed on him with curiosity. He asked what he was doing. Lanchan approached Yawan, grabbed his hand, and asked him for a really strong slap. Suspecting he was dreaming, Jaolin, confused but sincere, looked at him. Lanchan examined his hand and said he was going crazy. Yawan focused his energy into his hand, then, without hesitation, delivered a powerful slap across Lanchan's face. The blow was so forceful that Lanchan's body flew back, crashing into the wall. Tears filled his eyes. He touched his cheek, and Yalan waved his hands dismissively, making it clear that it was Lanchan himself who had asked for the slap, admitting he'd never heard such a request before. Lanchan cracked his neck, eyes furious. He called Yalan a bastard, shouting that he told him to make it strong but not to use all his strength. He accused him of even using a level 10 martial technique. He tapped the spaceship window and decided to forget about it. He wasn't going to argue over such details. He then pointed at Lu Shang with his finger and, with a serious gaze, asked if he believed that the fighter against the justice officer was in fact Lu Shang. Hearing this, Yalan's eyes widened with shock and fear, leaving him stunned.
Our protagonist and Farland, who had come from the Justice Society, were engaged in an ongoing battle. Their fight was incredibly fierce because the immense energies of both were engulfing the entire space. On one side was RMC's energy, and on the other was the Justice Society's. Neither of them was yielding. RMC was at a lower level, yet was overpowering Farland. After exchanging blows, both retreated. The members of the Justice Society stepped back and said angrily, "Now I will have to take serious action because he's forcing my hand." Saying this, he began to power up. Under this starry sky, he declared, I will bury you alone. As he started releasing a potent energy from within. When this energy began pouring out of his body, it created enormous pressure all around him. Seeing this, a look of excitement appeared on our MC's face, and he smiled, saying, well, it looks like we can enjoy this even more. The two were preparing to fight again, but just then, two individuals who had arrived with the Justice Society shouted loudly, stop fighting, stop fighting. This is a misunderstanding. As soon as both heard this voice, they ceased their attacks. One of them approached our MC, stopping him, and smiled, saying, this is a misunderstanding. Stop fighting. Hearing this, our MC frowned and asked, now what drama are you trying to pull? What are you planning? Meanwhile, the other person addressed Farland, saying, the team leader of the Justice Society, Honorable Enforcer, this individual is not a space pirate. He is a native of this blue planet standing before us. Although I never imagined I'd be mistaken for a rural bumpkin. As soon as he heard this, Farland stopped his fight with our MC and quickly activated a device attached to his ear. From the other end, a voice came through, explaining, sir, we've discovered that this person, and continued detailing everything to his leader. Hearing this, the person shouted angrily, are you sure the young man in front of us named Liu Shang is truly a native of the blue planet? The voice replied, no. Then he looked toward our MC and began to ponder. A native born on a low-level resource planet, yet he possesses a supreme extraordinary life constitution that can rival level 11 beings. Even though he's only at level 9, he was filled with rage at that moment, and had mastered 2 rule paths. However, a smile soon appeared on his face as he looked at our MC in a very different way. He murmured, but if I think about it differently, this isn't an ordinary person. He's a cosmic treasure that has never been discovered or unearthed before, being more valuable than 100 life planets. Then he approached RMC and said, greetings. I would like to formally introduce myself, bowing slightly with respect to our MC. I am the law enforcement officer of the Yamu Star region. Farland, it's a pleasure to meet you, Liu Shang. Hearing this, our MC responded, I'm pleased to meet you too. But then, with a hint of anger, he added, however, you'll still have to pay for the spaceship, that was my trophy. Thinking to himself, he considered, so all this time, they were here to catch those space pirates. Far is basically like a sheriff. Does that mean my actions just now count as attacking an officer? Many thoughts crossed his mind at that moment, but he reasoned, it's not my fault, I had no idea who they were. I'm just a guy from a distant, remote planet trying to protect my homeland and make an honest living through hard work. I can't be blamed for not knowing. While RMC was pondering all this, Farland suddenly laughed and said to him, this time, you've provided great help and contribution to our operation to capture the Red-Eye Pirate Group of the Yamu Star region. I will report it truthfully to the Yamu Star Region Federation and fight for you to receive the highest reward. You'll have to come with us to the main star of the Yamu Star region to claim it. Glancing sideways at 2 individuals, he continued, from here, the Yamu Star region is about 500 light years away. If we travel by the Silverbird spacecraft, the round trip will take just about 1 or 2 months. Those 2 individuals were none other than the Guardians, who had exited their spaceship and arrived here. Hearing Farland's words, our MC asked, in confusion, do I have to go personally? I'm a very busy man. Farland replied, the reward is at least 10 times more valuable than the Demon Clocklaw spaceship. When our MC heard the amount of the reward, he became extremely excited and quickly agreed, all right, I'm coming. When do we leave? Farland responded, whenever you wish. Well, let's go then, said our MC. A little distance away, Lance chuckled and said, they've stopped fighting now. We can get closer. Once we take Liu Shang back, and his talent is revealed, he's bound to shake the entire star region. As the one who discovered him, I'm sure to receive a generous reward. Zhao Lin, do you think there's even a chance we might get an audience with the star region's speaker? Standing beside him, Zhao Lin replied, Blanche, I'm afraid, you're being too optimistic. Hearing this, Blanche snapped, too optimistic. You think Liu Shang isn't as monstrous as I said? Come on, man, level 9, battling level 11. You know how hard that is. Zhao Lin calmly responded, no, I'm not doubting Liu Shang's talent. I'm doubting whether we can successfully take him back to the White Mist Star region. But why? Blanche asked. Zhao Lin explained, we can see Liu Shang's extraordinary potential. Do you really think the law enforcement officer from the Yamu Star region won't see it too? Do you honestly believe he'll let Liu Shang leave with us so easily? Hearing Zhao Lin's reasoning, Blanche grew even angrier. Why wouldn't he? Just because he's an enforcer, does that mean he can forcibly take people? Liu Shang is from the White Mist Star region's direct territory. Zhao Lin replied calmly, he's not yet registered. You forgot to register him. Blanche shouted, in frustration, damn, that's right, his citizenship. He hasn't been registered as a legal citizen yet. Zhao Lin added, Yes, Lu Sheng belongs to the White Mist Star region, but right now, he's still a white account in the Starry Sky, meaning he doesn't hold legal citizenship in any Star Federation. The enforcer will take him to the Yamu Star region to register him, after which he will automatically become one of them. As they discussed, they suddenly sensed a powerful aura nearby. Feeling it, they immediately understood whose it was. Just then, two figures appeared, approaching them. One of them said, "Congratulations. You both guessed correctly. Lord Far ordered you to cooperate with us and accompany us to the Yamu Star Region Law Department to file reports about the capture of the Red Eye Pirate Group." Hearing this, Lanch stammered nervously, "Can we contact our White Mist Star Region law enforcer first?" The other man responded, "And what do you think about that?" As he finished speaking, the second man behind them suddenly launched an attack, knocking both Lanch and Zhao Lin unconscious. As he threw one of them over his shoulder, he ordered confiscate all their communication devices and detain them on the ship immediately. The second responded, "Yes." Zhao Lin, still slightly conscious and angry, said, "Do you have any idea this could lead to war between two star regions?" The man in front of him laughed and replied, "War, perhaps, but I believe Lord Fa has made an extremely wise decision." Hearing this, Zhao Lin thought to himself, "I can't imagine how the White Mist Star region will react when they find out that a genius with a potentially solar-level extraordinary life constitution has been taken away by another star region." The story then shifts to the command bridge of the Sun Service District, where a battleship from the White Mist Star region, known as the Blue Pigeon, was traveling through space. Inside, a man sat comfortably, enjoying a glass of wine in front of a variety of fine delicacies. As he casually ate, his thoughts drifted to the Red Pirates to cancer that plagued for star regions. The Red Eye Pirate Group had finally been wiped out completely. "I've got something solid to report to the higher ups," he thought. And more importantly, Far from the Yamu Star region is even willing to voluntarily give us a third of the credit. His only condition is taking away to enforcers to file the report. That's it. This is a jackpot. Has Far changed his nature or something? He's suddenly so generous and open-handed. I remember the last time he drew his weapon and clashed with the Black Tower Star Region's law department over just one piece of credit. Whatever, why complain when you're getting free credit? No need to overthink it. Just then, a girl entered and said to him, "Sir, an intermediate officer named Zhao Lin requests to see you. He says he has something extremely important to report." Hearing this, the man asked, "Where are the others?" The girl replied, "He's one of the officers Far took along to file the report. He can't be reached now." The man's expression grew slightly serious. "Then we wait for the others." The girl added, "Sir, one more thing. Councilman Ji Ziming has invited you to attend his children's first birthday banquet tonight." Hearing this, the man asked, "That's a major event. Order the Blue Bridge to move ahead at full speed." The girl responded promptly, "Yes, sir," and immediately the battleship accelerated at full throttle. Sitting inside, sipping his wine, the man leaned back in satisfaction and thought, "Today really is a great day." RMC and Farland were fully prepared to annihilate each other. But just then, two members of the Justice Committee arrived and told Farland, "You two are fighting due to a misunderstanding." The conflict abruptly paused, and during the ensuing discussion, all miscommunications were clarified. At the same time, we observed the Guardian who had arrived here along with his companion. However, right then, a few of Farland's allies showed up, knocked both Guardians unconscious, and began dragging them away. After this, our MC set off toward Earth. Lu Sheng needed to return to Earth to handle some affairs. Only then could he follow Officer Far to the Almu Star Zone, which is 500 light-years away. Farland watched as our MC departed for Earth, and, as he stared at him, he commanded, "Activate the spaceship's full surveillance system. Keep your eyes fixed on Lu Sheng of the 28,462 Blue Planet. Not even for a second should he escape our sight." Then, turning to his subordinates, he added, "As for the White Mist Star Zone, we've managed to deceive them for now, but we can't lower our guard just yet." Hearing his words, his men responded affirmatively with a resolute yes. Farland clenched his fist tightly and, with growing anticipation, said, "As long as Lu Sheng returns with us and registers his identity in the Almu Star Zone, this will definitely be a monumental achievement." As soon as our MC entered Earth, the very first place he headed to was his home. When he landed in front of his house, his eyes swept the surroundings, and what he saw stunned him. There were many people around his home. These were all Grandmasters. Seeing them, RMC was completely amazed. There must be at least 40 Grandmasters in this community. Then he looked around more areas of his residence and observed carefully. He thought to himself, there are more than 20 level 8 martial sect experts and even the martial saints, all disguised and stationed around the perimeter. As he began walking toward his house, he continued pondering. This might not just be the most powerful district on the Blue Planet. I suspect they're here voluntarily to protect my family. Not bad. He opened the door and stepped inside. "I'm back," he announced as he entered. The first to greet him was his younger sister, who ran up excitedly and asked, "Brother, are you really the god of war?" At that moment, his parents also entered the room. His mother, emotional and relieved, said, "You're okay, right? I'm so happy you've returned." Then his father stepped forward and asked, "What exactly happened? Tell us everything. Honestly, we can handle it." The whole family was bursting with curiosity and excitement, eager to hear whether their son was truly the famed god of war. Our MC smiled and then jokingly began spinning a ridiculous tale. "All right, now that things have come this far, I won't hide it anymore. The truth is, I'm actually the Super Saiyan Prince of the Soul Society. When I was 3 years old, our homeland was invaded by the terrifying Straw Hat Luffy, and everything was destroyed. To survive, I reincarnated on this planet and chose you all to be my family. Now that my martial arts talents have awakened, I'm about to return to the Soul Society to rebuild everything and reclaim the glory that belongs to the Super Science. But I'll need a little travel funds if you could each transfer me 5,000 bucks. I promise that once I get revenge, I'll make you all the village chiefs of this planet." His family looked at him with deadpan expressions, totally unimpressed by the joke, and replied, "Fine, if you don't want to tell us, then don't." Still smiling, our MC said, "Just kidding. Does it matter whether I'm the god of war or not? I'm still your son, aren't I? Let's eat first time starving." With that, they all sat down together at the dinner table. Lu Sheng began explaining everything that had happened over the past few years, mentioning his upcoming mission into outer space, though he kept the details somewhat vague. As he told his story, his sister couldn't help but look at him with amazement. "Oh my god, are you really my big brother, the #1 martial artist on the planet, stronger than even the 9th level martial saints?" Then his father burst out laughing and said, "My son is actually the god of war. Honey, our Lu family's ancestral grave must be smoking." No, it's launching rockets now." His mother, still emotional, said warmly, "Everything's fine, son. Just make sure you take care of yourself." Our MC responded gently, "All right, Mom, I understand." After meeting everyone at home, our MC went to meet Donking Su. The two of them walked outside, hand in hand, just like a couple. Seeing our MC after so many days, Donking Su's face lit up with immense happiness. Smiling, our MC asked her, "Isn't this a day worth celebrating?" To which Donking Su replied with a gentle smile, "How can you say for sure which day will be the best?" Then our MC pulled an album out of his pocket and said, "You're pretending not to know today is the day the strongest man on this planet registers his marriage." As soon as Donking Su heard this, a tender smile appeared on her face. Our MC gently held her hand and said, "It's also the day I officially step into the stars. I'll come back as soon as I can. Next time we meet, we'll hold our wedding properly." Hearing these heartfelt words, Donking Su clung tightly to his chest. Then our MC handed her a communicator and explained, "This is the latest communicator Farland gave me. They say the battery lasts for years. Let's use this to stay in touch." After giving her the communicator, our MC quickly turned and left at full speed. Watching him go, Donking Su's heart was heavy as she softly said, "Please come back safely." After bidding farewell to everyone on Earth, our MC left the planet and boarded a spaceship called Silverbird. As soon as he stepped inside, Farland was already waiting to greet him. Seeing our MC, he said with a smile, "You finally made it." He began showing our MC around the ship and said, "This here is the inner city of the Silverbird." At that moment, there was indeed a whole city inside, filled with many people. Hearing about the Silverbird, our MC's eyes sparkled with excitement as he exclaimed, "The internal space is actually this huge. This is like sci-fi becoming reality. Posting this on social media would be explosive." Just then, Farland snapped his fingers, and instantly, both of them were teleported to a restaurant inside the ship. Without hesitation, Farland ordered some alcohol and said to our MC, "Sit down and try this special drink from my home planet C, buckthorn wine. Seeing you reminds me of myself when I first left my homeworld." While sipping his drink, our MC curiously asked, "You, an officer of justice, did you also come from a Lorosaurus planet?" Farland laughed at the question and replied, "Worse than a resource planet, it was a level 4 battlefield planet. It was reduced to ashes in the flames of war over 3,000 years ago." Hearing that, our MC apologized, but Farland waved it off with a chuckle. "No worries, that's the inevitable fate of any planet turned into a battlefield. I was lucky." Before total collapse, the Ami Star Zone had already begun the citizen evacuation program. But just then, our MC started thinking to himself, "Isn't this exactly what I want?" Farland continued explaining, "But not everyone could be relocated. Only those registered as federal citizens could go. The requirements were a clean criminal record, strength above level 9, and proven development potential. Only then are you eligible." Hearing this, RMC became serious and asked, "Above level 9, that's quite strict. What about independent migration?" Farland answered, That's possible, but all life planets in the star region are already cataloged. 1 or 2 people moving isn't a problem, but if it's 5,000 or more, you need federal approval. Without it, you'll be arrested. Our law enforcement department deports over 10 billion star migrants each year, many to battlefield and resource planets as laborers. RMC interrupted. Isn't that a bit too overbearing? Farland replied. It's a necessary method to ensure the orderly continuation of life across the universe. Think about it, Tiff. One planet is destroyed, and its inhabitants start stealing from others. And this repeats. The universe would descend into chaos and madness. Hearing this, RMC grew quiet and started pondering deeply. He then asked Farland, how much does it cost to buy a living planet? Farland laughed and said, your home planet is still considered a resource planet, right? The alien beast invasion has just begun, and you're already thinking about relocation. The lowest tier life planet costs just a few 100 million black crystal coins. A slightly better one costs over $1 billion. By better, I mean a planet capable of producing martial artists above level 9. If a planet can't even produce a level 9 powerhouse, it's close to extinction. RMC listened carefully as Farland continued. For someone like you, this is actually easy. Your potential is incredibly high. Once you reach level 11, you'll be considered a star noble, and at that point, you can own an entire territory of planets. You won't need to spend a single coin, though you'll still have yearly taxes and must patch any financial gaps yourself. But for someone with true strength, that's nothing. Hearing all this, RMC smiled and thought to himself, my vision has still been too narrow. Then both of them raised their wine glasses, clinked them in a toast, and drank together. While sipping the drink, RMC imagined, once I get my own territory, I'll let my family live on a whole planet, give one planet to each province's worth of people from Dragon Country and squeeze everyone else onto one planet. Wouldn't that be perfect? Lu Shang and Lan began to stroll around the spaceship, silent yet attentive. Our boy listened carefully to Lan's explanations. Gradually grasping the structure of the star universe, he learned that during long waits, he could enter the universe seed to cultivate just like in that dream space he had experienced before. Focusing intensely, Lu Shang entered the dream space once more. It was night, and in the sky, several golden moons floated peacefully. Sitting on the ground, he let energy from the energy crystal flow into his body. Unlike before, on the Silverbird, Lu Shang now had access to a vast supply of high-density energy crystals. Soon, he reached 10,000 immortal cells, doubling his vital and physical power. Behind him, Lan stood with a composed demeanor, his hand resting on his chin. Eyes fixed on Lu Shang, his expression shifted to one of surprise as he watched Lu Shang's rapid progress. He couldn't believe that Lu Shang had spent several million black crystals in just 1 month. Lan, with crossed arms and a serious gaze, gave a firm order to his subordinate. Continue supplying black energy crystals. I don't care about the costs. The subordinate responded promptly, placing a hand over his chest and nodding. Meanwhile, in the dream space, a strange red moon emitted a mysterious pulsating energy. Not long after, a formidable warrior appeared in the sky, wielding an axe and glaring fiercely at Lu Shang. Lu Shang's attention sharpened, and his eyes shone with calm resolve. The warrior's eyes, however, burned with rage as he gripped his axe tightly and descended with fierce force toward our boy. Instead of panic, Lu Shang remained composed, but to his shock, the warrior's attack was so swift that he had no time to react. The warrior's blow cut through him and, in a horrifying instant, sliced his body in half. His eyes widened in fear and confusion. The warrior's slash was so powerful, it unleashed a wave of energy that tore Lu Shang's planet apart as if it were a fragile cake. Shattering into pieces. Lu Shang woke up with wide eyes, trembling with surprise and fear. Lan placed his hand on his chest, his expression grave as he realized the strength of this warrior level 12. The power of Shalis himself. How could someone known as the God of Wind, a speedrunner, possess such overwhelming strength? Lu Shang's eyes, still calm, gazed downward into thought. His goal was clear, to defeat Shalis before reaching the Yamu Star Zone. With focused determination, he summoned blue martial energy, which radiated from his body. He returned to the dream space once more. Standing with clenched fists, behind him lay the lifeless corpse of Shalis. A hole pierced through his chest. After days of intense training, and just 1 day before arriving at the Yamu Star Zone, Lu Shang finally defeated Shalis. Gathering primordial force from the new planet, he condensed a powerful ball of martial energy in his palm, strengthening himself at least threefold. Several days later, Lu Shang's spaceship arrived at the Federation Gathering Center within the Yamu Star Zone. The ramp lowered smoothly as someone stepped out. Lan, with a smile, extended his hand toward the futuristic cityscape, welcoming Lu Shang to the Yamu Federation. Lu Shang gazed silently at the city, exhausted but contemplative. With a stretch, he asked what they would do next. Lan, serene and confident, explained that their first step was to register Lu Shang's legal identity as a stellar citizen. Without this registration, he would remain an undocumented person, unable to buy even basic necessities or move freely within the Federation. Lu Shang yawned and decided to leave it to Lan to handle. Lan looked up at the sky, his eyes shining with confidence as he declared, "Now, Lu Shang owes me a favor." His gaze fixed on Lu Shang, and his eyes sparkled with certainty. He was the one who had found him. Lu Shang's eyes widened in curiosity and slight confusion. He sensed that Lan had achieved something with just a look, but he felt no hostility. Still, after defeating Shalise, he knew that killing Lan was only a matter of thought. It was daytime, and the sun shone brightly over the city. Under Lan's guidance, Lu Shang entered the city hall to process his identity. A man with purple hair handed him an identification card, smiling kindly. "Your citizenship has been successfully registered," he said. Lu Shang took the card, noting his details. Name, Lu Shang. Race, standard human level 9. Citizen class, 3rd level. Citizen of the Yamu Star Zone home planet. Blue planet, A24862. White Mist Star Zone. He examined it carefully. Puzzled, Lan said citizenship started from level 1. How come I'm already at level 3? The man extended his hand, smiling cheerfully. Because you were recommended by the law officer, Lan. Your identity is special. Your citizen level reflects your power, talent, assets, and connections. Lu Shang's eyes widened with realization. Just a recommendation can get me to level 3. That means I only need to reach level 11 to become a stellar noble. The man continued. The identity card contains 10 million black crystals by Mr. Carl. You can use them anywhere within the stellar citizen zones. Lu Shang's heart skipped a beat. The amount seemed enormous. He remembered that among the red eyes, they had only gathered tens of thousands. Yet Lan's generosity was beyond what he'd expected. He deduced that the Red Eyes group's wealth couldn't be stored in raw crystals. It was probably hidden within their identity cards or storage bracelets. The man gestured toward the table with a smile. "Please wait a moment while I discuss with Mr. Dodd," he said. Lan nearby was still chatting with Mr. Dodd. During this pause, Lu Shang approached the table and grabbed a donut. He took a bite, and his eyes lit up. The donut was delicious. He pulled out a bracelet, took another bite, and started eating voraciously. Eager to check if he could find hidden storage in the Red Eyes bracelets, he devoured all the donuts on the table, then reached for another. But suddenly, he put his hand to his throat and spat out something strange. A blue cockroach fell onto his plate. Lu Shang's heart pounded. His gaze fixed on the creature. He had no idea where it had come from. His hand instinctively moved to his chest. And suddenly, golden martial energy surged from within him. He realized that his immortal cell number 10.1 had just activated. Carefully examined the cockroach, wide-eyed with curiosity. It was packed with protein. He couldn't believe how much nutrition it contained. Without hesitation, Lu Shang chewed the cockroach, commenting, "Tastes like chicken crunchy." Meanwhile, outside the room, a commotion erupted. Someone was shouting for Poppy. A man with purple hair extended his hands nervously, explaining to Miss Jojo that this was an exclusive VIP area, and she couldn't enter in that manner. "This puts us in a difficult situation," he added, nervously. Furious, Jojo pointed and demanded, "I saw Poppy go in there myself. He's inside. Get out of our way." They argued heatedly, and Lu Shang, still eating, turned his head toward the commotion. His eyes widened in surprise as Jojo, filled with rage, turned and pointed directly at him. "It's definitely him. He stole my Poppy. His body still smells like it." Lu Shang stared at her in silence, sweat forming on his forehead. He was utterly confused what was happening. As soon as the girl named Ko Kao arrived, she stood right in front of our MC and asked sharply, "Did you do something to my Bobby? Because I can smell his scent coming from you." She pointed angrily at RMC, her eyes blazing with suspicion. RMC, surprised, asked, "Who is Bobby?" Seeing his confusion, the girl hesitated for a moment, then nervously said, "Looks like you still haven't figured out who I'm talking about." Suddenly, she placed both her hands on the table in front of RMC and declared fiercely, "Bobby is a noble-blooded, crystal-eating bug. I've raised it as a pet for over 10 years. Hearing this, RMC asked in shock, "Crystal-eating bug?" Pretending to think deeply, he made a strange face and guessed, could it be a small, round, golden bug with lots of thin legs? The girl immediately became excited and said, yes, that's Bobby. Where is he?" Seeing her so eager, RMC went quiet. For a moment, he didn't know how to tell her where her Bobby had gone. Then, pointing to one side, he said softly, "It just flew onto my hand. And I thought it was a bug, so I flicked it away without thinking. I'm not sure exactly where it flew, maybe in that direction." Hearing this, the girl directly thanked RMC and suddenly hugged his head to her chest, saying, "Thank you so much." RMC was completely stunned by her action, his mind racing. Had she figured out where her Bobby had gone? He quickly pulled himself away from her and nervously asked, What are you doing? Is this some kind of attack method of yours? Hearing this, the girl smiled and said, I just wanted to thank you and introduce myself. My name is Kaio Cal. Hearing that, RMC asked, are people from the Yamu Star Zone always this open? They shook hands, and RMC introduced himself. My name is Lu Sheng. Then Kyoko said cheerfully, once I find Bobby, I'll treat you to dinner. See you later. After she left, RMC, chewing on the scent of the insect Bobby in his mouth, muttered, anyway, forget it. I just wanted to say sorry to you. Kyoko probably would never guess not, even in death, that the beloved pet Bobby she keeps thinking about has already been eaten by me, Lu Sheng, and has even helped me generate 2 immortal cells. He paused, thinking, because the hardness of that crystal-eating bug is extremely special. Without at least level 11 strength, it's impossible to bite through it. Nervously, he muttered, I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth, mainly because I didn't know how to say it. How do you tell someone that the pet they raised for over 10 years got eaten by you like a snack? That'd be way too messed up. Just then, he turned to a girl standing in front of him. She was a waiter and said, sorry for bothering you. She replied calmly, it's okay. He looked at her and wondered, who was that person? She looked very unusual. Then she told him, she is the only daughter of Countess. Hearing this, RMC exclaimed in surprise, Count. Even the level 11 law enforcer Far is just a star, Baron. A count ranks 2 full titles above that. No wonder she was walking through City Hall like it was her private garden. He thought to himself, good thing I didn't tell her the truth. Who knows how valuable that bug was? Maybe even the 10 million Far I got wouldn't be enough to pay for it. Meanwhile, while RMC was still talking to the girl, suddenly, Farland arrived. As soon as he appeared, he directly asked, looks like all the formalities are done. So shall we move on? Seeing Farland, RMC smiled and then left with him to go somewhere else. While walking outside, RMC asked Farland, Far, do you know what a crystal-eating bug is? Farland was surprised and asked, you just arrived in the starry sky. How do you even know about that thing? He smiled and began explaining, it's quite a magical creature. It has a gentle temperament, but once it matures, its power can reach level 10, sometimes even level 11. Quite a few starry sky nobles like to buy one for their female relatives. It's a popular pet among noblewomen of the starry sky. Hearing this, RMC asked, is it very expensive? Farland replied, of course. Even the cheapest ones sell for several 100 million black crystal coins. Some with rare bloodlines can be worth as much as several life planets. RMC, feigning casual curiosity, asked, why are you asking about this? He gave a nervous smile and said, someone just mentioned it earlier. I was just curious. That's all. As they continued walking, RMC started thinking nervously, good God, even a random one costs several 100 million. That means those 2 bites I just took were worth billions in black crystal coins. Should have chewed it more slowly. I really don't get alien economics. The story then shifts to the main star enforcement department of the White Mist Star Zone, where we see a man sitting in a chair. In front of him stands another person. Already seen in a previous chapter, the man in the chair, flipping through some documents, said, you're saying there's not a single detail about how the Chitting Star pirate group was executed. Just a few vague sentences in writing. The standing person responded, these are the only files we received from the Yamu Star Zone. I've been urging them to provide a complete report, but they keep stalling and say they'll send the rest later. Hearing this, the man in the chair spoke firmly. No, this doesn't feel right. Their Star Zone wouldn't just give up credit like that for no reason. There's definitely something fishy going on. Contact the Yamu Star Zone Enforcement Department immediately and demand the full report. The subordinate replied nervously, understood. Suddenly, his wrist device vibrated. He activated it, and Farland appeared on the screen. Farland teased playfully, isn't this Schiller, the enforcer? Good afternoon. The man behind the screen, Chief Enforcer Lennon, then spoke up. Seems like you're in quite a good mood. Farland bowed slightly and replied, Honorable Chief Enforcer Lennon, greetings. Lennon, the Chief of Enforcement, slammed his hand on the table and demanded, Far, I am currently reporting the operation against the Chitong Star Pirates. I need all your missing action reports immediately. Farland smiled and said, understood. I'll send them over right now. He ended the call swiftly. Seeing this, Schiller grew worried and said, Far actually ended the communication unilaterally. Something's not right. He's definitely hiding something. Lennon, sitting in the chair, slammed his fist on the table and shouted furiously, Fool, you're only realizing it now. People from the Yamu Star Zone are always full of schemes and deceit. He's trying to cover something up, and you didn't even verify the scene. This could lead to a huge disaster. Schiller panicked and immediately admitted his mistake. Please forgive me for this. Just then, a document appeared in front of him, one sent by Farland. Schiller saw it and said, Far has sent a document. Chief Lennon quickly instructed, open it. Schiller opened the file, revealing detailed information about the MC. Everything from fights to strength, including a video file. The profile of a readied star pirate named Evil Halberd was also included. Pointing to the screen, Schiller said, "That's Evil Halberd, a level 10. He played the embedded video as the footage played." Schiller watched nervously, noting, "He instantly killed Evil Halberd. Is he level 11? A newly appointed enforcer of the Yamu Star Zone? I've never seen him before. He killed Ghostloss and Fro with just his mental force." The video showcased our MC's fight how he ended everything with a single punch. Schiller was stunned and said, "He killed Red Eye with just one punch. This clearly shows he has level 11 strength, but his fighting style is so primitive, withstanding spaceship attacks directly, using traditional Dharma forms even at level 11. Strange. Very strange. Who is he?" Schiller watched the video footage of RMC, and seeing it left him visibly shocked. Just then, at that very moment, he received another video from Farland. After quickly reviewing it, he turned to Chief Lennon and reported, "Farland has sent one more video." Hearing this, Chief Lennon paused for a moment, then, with a hint of anger, said, "Is it possible he sent something else to hurry up? Watch Farland's video." Schiller nodded immediately. Okay, he clicked on the document to open it. The moment the video played, it showed a fierce fight between Farland and RMC. In the footage, RMC was clearly overpowering Farland, his strength and skill evident. Watching this, Schiller was stunned, eyes wide in disbelief. "This is a fight between Farland and that boy," he whispered in amazement. As the video continued, Chief Lennon, who had been sitting silently, suddenly shot upright and exclaimed, "Such a thing actually exists." His mouth hung open in shock, because what he saw in the footage, the MC's combat prowess, seemed almost impossible to believe. Still overwhelmed, he collapsed back into his chair, placing a hand on his forehead, and muttered angrily while deep in thought, "I understand now he's not from the Yamu Star District's Enforcement Division. In fact, I suspect he's not even from the Starry Skies." His voice was tense, filled with surprise. Just then, Schiller noticed another document. He quickly said, "There's another file here." Hearing this, Chief Lennon, still overwhelmed by what he had just seen, didn't react much. Everything he'd witnessed felt utterly impossible. He simply snapped, "Open it." Schiller understood that Lennon was under immense pressure. Fear was clearly gripping him. The chief, tense and anxious, looked at Schiller with wide eyes, and then spoke. "If my guess is correct, then I know exactly what the second document is." As Schiller opened the next file, a detailed profile of our MC loaded onto the screen. Name, Lu Sheng. Age, 21 years. Strength level 9. Origin, native of Primary Resource Star, 28,462 Yuan Bu Star, District. Citizenship, level 3. Citizen of the Ya Star District. Additional notes. Combat strength, comparable to an 11th level. Powerhouse confirmed to possess an extraordinarily powerful transcendent life, constitution grade of transcendent physique. Unknown estimated above the Daystar level potential. Ranked SSS level. Chief Lennon stared at the details, shock evident on his face. "He really is a native of this planet," he whispered in disbelief. Even Schiller was stunned. His hands trembled as he stared at the screen. "Martial strength level 9. Combat power equal to level 11, he blurted out. "A native of a primary resource star, transcendent life constitution above the Daystar level, SSS potential. These terms can actually exist together." At that moment, Chief Lennon slammed a hand onto the table, his face burning with rage. They must have handed over only a little credit, and no one checked carefully. The reason Farland kept stalling, refused to hand over the data, and used the recording testimony to take those two law enforcers away from our Star District was all just a trick to buy time. His voice grew angrier. Also, he could bring this native genius, Lu Sheng, back to the Yamu Star District before we could find out. Standing there, Schiller listened with increasing tension, fear gripping him as he muttered, "This person was originally from our territory." Suddenly, without warning, Chief Lennon hurled a glass of water at Schiller's head and shouted furiously, "Look what happened because of you." Schiller immediately dropped to his knees, trembling and panicked. "Lord, I was wrong. Please forgive me," he cried out in fear, softly screaming. But Chief Lennon's fury hadn't eased. He continued shouting, "A level 9 martial artist who can fight like an 11th level powerhouser, super genius, a top-tier talent, a rare treasure of the Starry Skies, a raw gem that appears once in tens of thousands of years, slipped through our fingers right before our eyes, taken and turned into a citizen of the Yamu Star District." Hearing this, Schiller, still kneeling, begged desperately, "Forgive me. Give me one more chance." He banged his head on the ground, blood dripping from his forehead. But Chief Lennon turned away coldly, his voice icy, "It's too late. Officer Schiller, I don't think you're suited for this position anymore. Take a proper break for a while." Helpless, Schiller could only sit there, repeatedly pleading, "Forgive me. Give me one more chance." Scene shifts to our MC, He was now standing in front of the premier hotel in the subject area. After leading him there, Farland turned to him with a smile. You can rest here for a few days. His tone was cheerful. You're quite lucky, right? Now, the Yamu Star District is recruiting new heaven-ranked trainees. When the time comes, I'll personally take you for the potential testing to determine the level of your transcendent life constitution. Hearing this, the MC smiled. Far, you seem in a really good mood today. Farland forced a fake smile. Indeed, some good things have happened recently. He then added casually, oh, and the reward for eliminating the Red-Eyed Star Pirate Group is about to be issued. Your share, don't worry, you won't be disappointed. He turned to leave, then said, over his shoulder, go get some rest first. I'll come pick you up later. Watching him go, the MC called out, thank you so much. You're going through a lot of trouble for me. He then entered the hotel, while Farland, walking away, had a different smile, one that suggested he had just accomplished something significant. Just then, his wrist device buzzed. He quickly answered the call. A voice came through, and recognizing it, Farland straightened up and respectfully greeted, hello, Lord, Law Enforcer. On the other end, a woman's voice, slightly obscured, said Farland, you did very well this time. I'm quite pleased. Come to the office. Farland nodded. Understood. He ended the call. As soon as the call disconnected, a wave of joy surged through Farland's heart. He couldn't contain his excitement, exclaiming, today really is a great day. Meanwhile, the MC strolled into the hotel, beginning to look around. Suddenly, a voice called from behind him. Dear Mr. Lu Sheng, your room is ready. He turned and saw a fox girl standing in front of him. She smiled kindly. I'll take you there right away. Please, come with me. The MC stared at her, slightly surprised, especially noticing her ears and tail. He hesitated but then began following her. As he watched her fluffy tail sway, he felt a strange pulsing thing he couldn't quite resist. I can't resist fluffy things, he thought. I'm being drawn to her without even realizing it. The girl glanced back, a mysterious smile on her face. Our hotel also offers special services. He hesitated again, thinking, well, I don't really need that. Suddenly, she pressed herself close, her body touching his, and whispered seductively, Sir Lu Shang, please say the word. Whatever service you desire will be fulfilled. Startled, the MC pushed her away quickly. I just want to withdraw some cash black crystal energy blocks. She smiled charmingly. How much would you like? He replied. Let's start with 5 million. In his mind, he thought, there's 10 million on the card. Taking half for cultivation should be enough. She nodded gracefully. Of course, sir. Anything else? Feeling overwhelmed, the MC quickly closed the door behind him. I can't take this anymore. Goodbye. He paced inside, muttering to himself. The layout of this room is really nice. He then pulled out his ID cards, examining them. These citizen ID cards can't pull up any information at all. Once those people die, the money's gone. That's such a scam. He looked around the cluttered storage ring. Might as well sell it all for stuff I actually need, like a spaceship or advanced combat suits. No time to waste, he sighed. Maybe I really am a hidden space tycoon. Our MC arrives at the Duan spaceship store at night and begins browsing the displayed items. As he observes, his eyes settle on several level 10 small spaceships, each priced at 8 million black crystal coins, an exorbitant amount. Seeing this, sweat beads form on his forehead. This price is way too steep, he thinks. Before coming here, he had already guessed that spaceships would be costly, but he never imagined they would be so expensive that he couldn't even afford the down payment. He stands beneath the starry sky, burdened by the weight of his debts, yet to repay. The realization fills him with anxiety. I knew the most valuable assets the Chidong Star Pirate Group possessed were those few spaceships. If the reward for my mission isn't worth at least a few hundred million, I'll lose my mind. Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind him. Hey, what are you doing here? Hearing this, our MC immediately turns around and sees Kyokyo smiling. As she looks at him, her presence makes him feel a bit uneasy, but he manages to ask casually, what are you doing here? A thought flashes through his mind. Could it be? She found out that I was the one who fed the crystal devourer, and now she's here to settle the score with me. Hearing RMC's question, Kyokyo responds cheerfully. What a coincidence. I came here with my brother to buy a spaceship, and it looks like you're here for the same reason. Hearing this, our MC smiles and replies, yeah, but I didn't expect the spaceships here to be so expensive. By the way, did you find your pet Bobby? As he says this, he takes a breath of the night air and thinks inwardly, looks like you still don't know. I'm the one who made your Bobby disappear. Then, the two continue their chat. During their conversation, the topic of Bobby comes up again. RMC asks her, did you find your Bobby? Kyokyo's face dims a little as she responds, no, I haven't found him yet. They continue talking, sharing their thoughts and feelings. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the store, inside the VIP area, a young woman is showing a group of people a level 11 spaceship, enthusiastically explaining its features. Among those present, the main figure hears that the spaceship costs 7,700 million. It says, 7,700 million. That's quite good. Hearing this, the store attendant becomes ecstatic and responds with gratitude. Thank you so much, young Master Milton, for your support of Dwan. The spaceship will be delivered today to the residence where you're staying. The man casually replies, no need to deliver it. Just give me the key. This spaceship is a gift. Someone will come pick it up later. Hearing this, the store girl begins to think 7,700 million as a gift. Only someone from the Countess family could make such a grand gesture. As she ponders further, she realizes that for someone to receive such an expensive gift, that person must have a status beyond imagination. With these thoughts racing, she quickly asks for permission to leave and complete the remaining formalities. Receiving approval, she hurries away. Meanwhile, Master Milton starts thinking to himself, I've heard that person has a deep love for spaceships. The latest model, the Black Hole Predator, should be perfect to please them. It's rare for that person to visit the Yamu Star Zone, so I must seize this opportunity to build a strong connection. If I succeed, it won't just benefit me but the entire Sis family. He looks around and asks his companions, where's Kichio? His associate steps forward and whispers that she's elsewhere in the store, explaining the situation. Upon hearing this, Milton's face darkens with fury. Forget who that person is for now. Take me there immediately. Meanwhile, the ongoing conversation between our MC and Kyukyo continues. Seeing her disappointed, our MC tries to comfort her. Relax a bit, maybe Bobby just got bored and went out to play. Who knows, he might come back on his own in a few days. But despite that, Kyokyo remains downcast. It feels like he went somewhere far, she says sadly. Then, with a gentle smile, she adds, by the way, you must be a newly registered citizen of the Starry Sky, right? I've never seen you around before. As she continues speaking, RMC begins to think to himself, I've been trying to find the right moment to end this conversation and slip away. But Kaio keeps pulling the topic back every time. It's like she hasn't spoken to anyone in a long time. She just won't stop talking. I guess she probably doesn't have many real friends around her. She really reminds me of Fiona, delicate flower raised in a greenhouse, untouched by storms. But compared to Fiona, Kyokia's status is clearly far more noble. And the more precious the flower, the fiercer the gardener who protects it. Suddenly, as they're talking, Milton appears. Approaching, he calls out, Kyo. Hearing his voice, Kyo turns around and says happily, elder brother, you're here. Then, she turns back to our MC and adds, my elder brother is here. Come, I'll introduce you to him. She smiles and walks over to her brother. This is my brother Milton, she says. Then, she introduces our MC. This is Lu Sheng, a friend I met some time ago. Just then, Milton says to Kyokyo, I just overheard someone on the 3rd floor talking about a golden crystal devourer that nobody claimed. As soon as Kyo hears that, her face lights up with excitement. You found Bobby. Milton shrugs and replies, who knows, maybe I did. Hearing this, Kyokyo's eyes sparkle with joy. Where is he? Take me to him right now. One of Milton's people steps forward politely. Miss, I'll take you there. Kyokyo nods eagerly and begins to walk away with them. She glances back at Lu Sheng and cheerfully calls out, Lu Sheng, wait here for me. I need to go see him. Talk with my brother for a bit. I'll be right back. With that, Kyokyo leaves the store. Milton remains standing where he is. As she steps outside, his expression turns cold and serious. He stares at RMC and says sharply, a low-born peasant from a lower resource planet, thinking he can rely on a bit of talent and cling to a level 11 enforcer's leg. Now you're after our family. Hearing this, RMC looks at him calmly, thinking, here we go again. Another tired, cliché line. Milton steps closer, glaring down at Lu Sheng with disgust and fury. Filthy life form. Don't let me see you again. If I find out you've met Kaio again, whether on purpose or by accident. Turning to walk away, he delivers a final curse. You and that enforcer you think is your backer, and your pathetic home planet disappear from the universe forever. Lu Sheng watches him leave and mutters to himself, just wait a little longer before he can move. The store girl returns briskly and says with a cold but polite tone, apologies, sir. You've upset one of our VIP customers. You are no longer welcome here. Please leave. Lu Sheng is respectfully escorted out of the Dwan spaceship store. RMC, even after being thrown out, chuckles and says, I expected the gardener to be rude and harsh, but I didn't think they'd be this unreasonable, and they even threatened me. How long has it been since someone dared to threaten me? He begins walking forward, still speaking to himself. Well, I guess it makes sense. Kaio must have been approached by too many people with hidden motives. Protecting her from getting hurt makes sense. Besides, I'm new here. I shouldn't act rashly. Otherwise, like that guy said, whether it's far or as your planet, both would end up in trouble. A faint smile remains on his face. He walks on, maintaining a light-hearted tone. So what if I get humiliated a little? I carry the supreme mission of saving an entire universe. How could I not endure such small insults or grievances? If people treat me coldly, so be it. I'll just smile and move on. But suddenly, he stops in his tracks. Turning back toward the store, he stares at it for a moment. His expression shifts. His smile slowly fades, replaced by rising fury. This is really disappointing. I can't bear this any longer.
A few minutes later, Milton emerged from the shop, his arms casually folded behind his back, a calm and peaceful smile gracing his face. He began to stroll leisurely down the corridor, his demeanor composed and tranquil. Suddenly, Chow Chow appeared, her fists clenched tightly, her expression tinged with anger and frustration. She pointedly declared that no one on the third floor had seen Poppy. Her voice was firm and filled with authority, conveying her certainty and agitation. Hearing her words, Milton's consciousness snapped out of his trance-like state. His attention immediately shifted to her, and a flicker of curiosity crossed his face. He closed his eyes briefly, sighed softly, and with a serene, almost placid expression, he feigned surprise as if he had just realized something. He admitted, in a gentle tone, that perhaps he had misheard or misunderstood, subtly hinting that eavesdropping on others' conversations was not very courteous or proper. Meanwhile, Xiao Xiao began to scan her surroundings intently, her eyes widening in confusion and suspicion. She was at a loss. She didn't know where Lu Shang had gone. Her mind raced back to the moment she remembered him talking with Milton, but now, that figure was nowhere to be seen. Milton remained silent, his eyes slowly opening, and with a calm, knowing smile, he explained that Lu Shang had been called away on urgent business and had left just moments earlier. His words, however, only served to ignite Xiao Zhao's rage further. Her eyes shone with fury, and she couldn't suppress her anger at the thought that Lu Shang had left without so much as a farewell, leaving her behind. Her fists clenched tighter, and with a fierce expression etched on her face, she declared that she knew Milton always did the same, disappearing without explanation. Milton observed her silently, a faint, contemplative smile on his face, uncertain of what to say. After a moment's pause, he offered her a kind promise that the next time they saw their friend, he would invite him out for a meal to ease her mind. Xiao Xiao hesitated, her frustration simmering beneath the surface, then decided to turn away and leave. Milton's gaze remained fixed on her, his expression curious and thoughtful. He gently inquired about her destination, his tone mild yet inquisitive. Chao Chio, without turning back, began to walk away from him, replying that she was headed home. Her steps were brisk, and her whole body radiated a fiery intensity. Steam seemed to rise from her head as her fury boiled over. Milton watched her go in silence, a look of calm contemplation on his face. Then, quietly, he began to walk through the room, approaching the windows. With a serene, distant gaze, he looked out over the city below, lost in his thoughts. Outside the building, Chow Chow was already heading toward a waiting vehicle. Milton's eyes followed her, his expression serious, as if he believed that, sooner or later, she would come to understand his actions. Every decision he'd made, he thought, was ultimately for her own good. His eyes shimmered with a sense of solemnity and resolve. He then asked softly, almost in himself, when Lan Che was scheduled to arrive. His subordinate approached and replied in a calm tone that Lan Che would land the next day at 3 p.m., docking at number 001. Milton adjusted his monocle thoughtfully, then instructed his subordinate to go and receive Lan Che in advance, also taking Chow Chow along. The subordinate hesitated for a moment, mentioning that Chow Chow was not in the best mood right now. Milton paused, silent for a moment, then with a composed expression, told him to simply say that it was an order from their father, that she couldn't always do as she pleased. He understood that her independence was limited and that she could not always act on her own whims. Milton's mind wandered to the girl's upbringing. Raised for more than 20 years within the protective walls of a greenhouse, she was regarded as having matured long ago. He believed that her encounters with few people had kept her sheltered and naive. If she was to meet someone as extraordinary as Lan Che, he thought, she wouldn't be so easily captivated by insignificant beings. His fists clenched tightly, his eyes widening with a sudden surge of fury. To him, Lu Shang was nothing more than a peasant, a mere outsider, who had the audacity to cross into their world relying solely on charm and good looks to climb the social ladder of the Shay family. He considered it a farce, an insult, to think that this was a chance meeting. He despised the idea that Lu Shang believed everyone in their circle was so naive as to be easily deceived, especially regarding Cao Cao. Lost in these thoughts, Milton's subordinate watched him in silence, unsure of what to do next. Suddenly, an unusual disturbance interrupted the scene. The ground beneath them began to tremble violently. Both Milton and his subordinate looked around in confusion, their expressions shifting to concern. Milton swiftly turned his head, his eyes filling with fear and bewilderment. Beads of sweat started to form on his forehead as he struggled to understand what was happening. The tremors intensified, and then, in horror, his gaze fixed on something terrifying outside the window. A figure surrounded by a radiant, powerful golden martial energy burst through the window of the floor where Milton stood. The attack was swift and forceful, leaving no room for defense. Milton was caught completely off guard. Before he could react, the energy struck him directly, sending his body hurtling backward. He slammed against the wall with a deafening crash, debris exploding outward as the wall shattered under the force. His subordinate spun around in shock, fists clenched tightly, panic rising in his eyes. With a worried, trembling voice, he asked if Milton was all right. Milton's body was embedded in the wall, the impact leaving a large, jagged hole. His clothes were singed and torn, bits of fabric burning away from the intense energy. He coughed violently, blood spilling from his mouth as he struggled to stay conscious. His breathing was ragged and shallow, almost on the brink of death. As the smoke began to clear, a figure dressed in an elegant suit stepped forward, a man with a commanding presence, Lu Shang. Milton's gaze fixed upon him with a mixture of shock and rage. The man's expression was calm, yet filled with dark intent. Lu Shang stared at Milton coldly, then adjusted his tie casually. Without warning, he launched a brutal accusation, claiming that Milton had mistreated and cruelly murdered his beloved pet porcupine. With fiery determination, he declared his intent to avenge his cherished companion, vowing to tear Milton apart into 1,000 pieces until death. Milton, bloodied and weakened, raised his head weakly, a look of confusion flickering across his face. He managed to ask, voice trembling, for Lu Shang to stop talking nonsense. But before he could finish, Lu Shang's focus sharpened. Gathering his energy, he unleashed a slash of destructive energy, an attack that rapidly advanced toward Milton. Panic surged through Milton. He knew this was dire. Desperately, he tried to dodge, but the attack was inevitable. Just as the energy slash was about to hit him, Milton's loyal subordinate threw himself into the path, raising his arms in a desperate attempt to block the attack. Daring, he shouted, voice full of defiance. Do you even know who you're facing? The slash made contact, exploding into fragments that obliterated the subordinate instantly. His body was torn apart in an instant, leaving nothing behind but a cloud of dust and blood. Milton, trembling and clutching his chest where he felt the searing pain, stared in horror. He couldn't believe that someone at the peak of level 11, Lu Shang's level, could be killed with a single attack. The subordinate's corpse dropped to the ground, lifeless and shattered. Lu Shang, standing arrogantly over the scene, turned to Milton with a cruel smile. He said that he had thought Long was strong, but now he made it clear. Anyone who dared stand in his way in his quest for revenge against Milton would meet the same fate. Fear overtook Milton. He begged him to stop, to not come closer. But Lu Shang grabbed Milton by the neck, squeezing tightly, causing the latter to sweat and writhe in pain. Lifting him off the ground, Lu Shang's grip tightened even further. His body was surrounded by martial energy as he looked down at Milton with a dark, threatening gaze. He then spoke coldly, his voice laced with venom, telling Milton that he should have anticipated this moment when he killed his porcupine, questioning if he knew how many years she had been with him. Tears welled up in Lu Shang's eyes as he revealed that she was 150 years old, more than a century of companionship. He demanded to know why Milton had left her alone, considering her an old saw. His voice trembled with sadness and rage as he questioned Milton's motives, asking whether such acts still made him a true inhabitant of stellar space. A crowd of onlookers had gathered, drawn by the commotion. Curiosity piqued. They pressed closer to see what was happening. Lu Shang's eyes flashed with fury as he turned to them. He activated his mental powers, causing a wave of energy to ripple outward through the air. The crowd's attention was instantly captivated, their murmurs rising in confusion and anger. They questioned Milton's humanity, criticizing how he could show such cruelty to a 150-year-old porcupine. They identified him as Milton, the eldest son of the noble's family, and expressed their disgust for his tastes and behavior. Some muttered that although he appeared refined, he was nothing more than a beast unworthy of their respect, deserving only to be cast aside on a trash planet. Milton's mouth foamed with rage and desperation, his eyes wide with shock and disbelief as he looked at the crowd. Lu Shang's grip on his neck tightened further, forcing Milton's mouth open as he screamed in agony, tears streaming down his face. The expanding energy from Lu Shang's mental assault caused chaos all around, and Milton observed him closely, unable to speak or defend himself. He couldn't comprehend when he had killed a 150-year-old Saw. As tears blurred his vision, Lu Shang's voice echoed with grief and fury, assuring her that he would soon kill Milton to avenge her. His expression was full of unwavering determination. Then, Lu Shang focused his energy into his fist, preparing to deliver the final blow. "This is over," he declared coldly. "Milton Nicholas, confess your sins amid endless suffering and death." But at that moment, Milton, trembling and desperate, clenched his teeth and shouted desperately, begging him to wait. He had something to say. Lu Shang, unyielding, made it clear that further words would be useless and prepared to strike. In that critical instant, Milton revealed a crucial truth. His real name was Milton Shea from the Cease family, not Milton Nicholas. Lu Shang hesitated, his grip loosening slightly as he processed this new information. Milton began to gasp heavily, feeling a strange sense of relief. Lu Shang played it off as confusion, asking with a puzzled look what his true name was. Blood still oozing from his mouth, Milton managed to say that his name was Milton Zis. Lu Shang clenched his fists tightly, glaring at him with furious intensity, demanding that he speak louder. Terrified, Milton hurriedly placed his hand on his chest, eyes filled with fear, and desperately insisted again that he was Milton Zis, son of Count Zeiss. Lu Shang was unconvinced and pointed at him with a stern, accusing finger, demanding proof, some form of identification. Milton quickly retrieved his ID card and handed it over. Lu Shang examined it carefully, confirming Milton's identity. Just as several spaceships were already approaching their destination, Lu Shang touched his head with a nervous smile and admitted, with a hint of regret, that it was a mistake. He had mistaken Milton for someone else. He said he would go find the actual Milton Nicholas to seek revenge and promised to invite Milton out for a meal another time. With a courteous, apologetic bow, he left, retreating into the shadows. Milton let out a sigh of relief, feeling as if he had narrowly escaped a catastrophe. The absurdity of being mistaken for someone else, especially someone as noble as Milton Nicholas, and being targeted for revenge over such a mix-up, struck him as utterly ridiculous. Someone from the crowd then stepped forward, having investigated the matter, and confirmed loudly that he was indeed Milton Cease, son of Count Cease. Milton turned toward him, eyes widening in disbelief. The man, holding a communicator, brought his hand close to his mouth and, with a tone full of contempt, remarked that he couldn't believe a son of a noble family like that would indulge in such shameful behavior. He admitted he had heard whispers about the peculiar tastes of some high-ranking nobles, but had never truly believed them until now. This revelation provoked a wave of scorn and disgust among the crowd, who began whispering and murmuring among themselves. Milton, overwhelmed, tried to deny everything. He rushed toward them, shouting that they were all mistaken, that he wasn't that Milton and hadn't done anything wrong. But before he could finish, one of them struck him hard across the face, demanding that he stop lying and recognizing the truth. Milton crumpled to the ground, clutching his cheek, trembling violently, sweat pouring down his face in panic, slipping into shock. The man in glasses pointed a finger at him, voice full of rage, emphasizing that everyone had heard him admit his identity. He was Milton Cease, the son of Count Cease. Then, unexpectedly, Milton burst into wild, uncontrollable laughter, swearing that he hadn't done anything wrong, that it was all a misunderstanding. But his words fell on deaf ears as the crowd's contempt grew stronger. RMC steps out of the store and immediately notices a flurry of activity around him. As soon as he emerges, he sees a throng of people rushing back toward the entrance, their faces alight with excitement. Many of them are hurrying inside, shouting to each other in hurried whispers and eager voices. Someone exclaims, "Hey, did you hear?" Another chimes in, "There's some big news happening inside." The crowd's energy is contagious. They're all eager to witness or capture whatever event has just unfolded. Smiles spread across their faces, anticipation glowing in their eyes. Some are already reaching for their devices, eager to record the moment and upload it to showcase to the world. Others are simply thrilled to be part of the spectacle, eager to witness the new fight or revelation firsthand. Seeing this scene, the MC's expression softens into a pleased smile. A sense of calm washes over him, and he murmurs with a satisfied tone, "My thoughts are finally at peace." Then, shifting back to his original form, his face serious and composed, he mutters, "After all, he is Keoka's brother. I couldn't go for the kill, but messing with him a little is still fair." With that, he pulls out his phone and scrolls through recent news updates. As he taps through, he notices an article about Milton, an update so rapid that it feels like news spreads here at twice the speed of Earth. One headline reads, "The Earl's son is extremely wicked. He's cruel." Another article warns, "Girls, please keep your pigs safe. Some cruel people are still spreading horror." After reading these headlines, the MC's lips curl into a sly smile. The rumors have already spread, he muses. There's no way he can clear his name now. Revenge shouldn't wait till morning. This feels way more satisfying than just punching him. He tilts his head back slightly, whistling softly as he continues walking forward, his mood triumphant. A few days later, Lu Shang and Fal set off toward Chunwei Academy. As they travel, RMC walks alongside Farland Land, who begins explaining the significance of their destination. Farland's voice is steady and informative. Chunwei Academy is the most prestigious school in every star sector. It recruits only the most gifted martial arts prodigies. Once accepted, students gain access to the best resources, treatments, and inheritances across the entire star region. Each student is treated like a noble of Viscount rank in the Starry Sky aristocracy, for every graduate is at least level 11. Not just any level 11, but the elite among elites. Hearing this, RMC's curiosity sparks. He asks, "Far, did you manage to get into Tianwei Academy yourself?" Farland chuckles, swaying his head with a smile. "If only I did, but my talent isn't anything special. I wasn't admitted. However, the current chief enforcer, Lord Andre, is a Tianwei Academy graduate. He's only 5,000 years old and already a level 12 powerhouse." Then, with a knowing look, he points at RMC. "But with your aptitude, passing the entrance exam would be a breeze. If you perform exceptionally, you might even get the chance to go to the main star region, Chunwei Academy's headquarters in the Heavenly Serpent Galaxy. That's where the true monsters gather, geniuses from all races, all worlds, fighting for dominance. Ordinary geniuses get crushed there. Compared to that, the Yamastar region is laughably small." RMC makes a face, annoyed. "Small? It's so small, I can't even afford a single shuttle to travel within it." Farland laughs heartily. "Seriously, Tianwei Academy only recruits once every 1,000 years. The last enrollment was 300 years ago. If things followed the usual cycle, you'd have to wait another 700 years. He grins, then adds, "But we're in luck. A very influential figure is coming to use the Tianwei Academy's bloodline, Star Disc, to test aptitude. Thanks to him, we've got a chance to piggyback on the event. If your talent meets the standards, you could be admitted as an exception." Hearing this, RMC's eyes widen in shock. Wait, 700 years? Who the hell has that kind of face to pull strings like this? Farland begins explaining. It's the son of the Marquis of the Starry Sky, Lan Shi. His family, the Land Clan, is famous across 10 star regions, led by level 13 powerhouses. Their ancestral home is right here in Yamo. For the past 50,000 years, the Lan family has produced some of the most outstanding geniuses and warriors the star region has ever seen. The Marquis of Lan is known for his sentimentality, so his descendants routinely return to Yamo to take their aptitude tests. Last time, his second son, Lan Shi, was tested and was found to have the rare Brilliant Moon 5-star Extraordinary Life constitution. Now, it looks like he's on the verge of another breakthrough, possibly reaching the Sunlight rank. Hearing this, RMC asks, Extraordinary constitutions aren't fixed, right? They can still be improved. Farland nods. It's very difficult, but not impossible. A level 13 powerhouse willing to put in enough effort can ensure that all his offspring are born with talents and constitutions comparable to his own. They can be genetically enhanced or modified into new humans. The descendants could be artificially improved, in other words. RMC's mind races. They can even be modified? That's so unfair, he mutters. Farland laughs again. But in the end, those are just imitations, artificial creations. If they reach even 50%, or better yet 70% of the original's talents, that's already incredible. Extraordinary constitutions are among the most mysterious and wondrous things in the universe. Someone like you, with a naturally extraordinary constitution, is a priceless blueprint material. Once the testing is over, many Starry Sky nobles will be lining up to marry their daughters to you. You become the most sought-after golden bachelor in the entire star region. RMC listens carefully, but then hesitates, a little confused. Far, if you had a daughter, considering our friendship, maybe I'd think about it, he says half-jokingly. Farland immediately perks up, excited. Actually, I have a lot of children, he says with a grin. RMC's expression flickers with surprise. Do these aliens not understand what a joke means, he thinks. Then, raising both hands in front of him, he waves dismissively. I was just kidding. I already have a wife. Farland chuckles. Come on. At your level, one life partner isn't nearly enough. A true powerhouse should be surrounded by beautiful women. Spread your seed and move on. That's a blessing for everyone involved. Hearing this, RMC's face turns bright red. He starts thinking, if I ever said something like that online, I'd be canceled instantly. What nonsense is he even spouting? Just then, Farland pulls out a poster and shows it to RMC, asking, and by the way, have you seen this man anywhere? RMC examines the poster carefully and recognizes the figure. It's the exact form he had taken when killing Milton. But on the poster, his appearance looks even more terrifying. His face marred by a massive scar over one eye and a large wanted stamp across the image. After seeing the poster, RMC responds, I don't know him. What happened? He then thinks to himself, good thing I use spiritual energy to alter my appearance in everyone else's eyes, but damn, that scar is ugly. Farland explains, that guy is wanted by the Sith family. They've been hunting him down. Rumor has it that he humiliated Milton in the worst way. Hearing this, RMC mutters, serves him right. If it weren't for my ties to his sister, I'd have beaten the crap out of him myself. Farland laughs. So past grudges, huh? Well, it doesn't matter. Once your extraordinary constitution is revealed, the Sith family might come crawling, begging you to marry their daughter. They arrive at the Starry Sky Gate, gazing out from the spaceship at the breathtaking vista beyond. They just pass through a crimson portal, arriving in a new place. As they cross the portal, Farland points out a colossal, sun-like disk floating in front of them. RMC's eyes widen in awe at its enormous size. What is that? He asks. Farland explains, that's the Star Destiny disk. It's used to test bloodlines and rank extraordinary constitutions. Legend says that if a legendary immortal bloodline descends into this world, all the pearls in the disk will ignite with a radiant glow that shakes the entire starry sky, an unimaginable phenomenon. RMC's curiosity is piqued. How does it work exactly? Tell me, he urges. Farland shakes his head with a smile. No one truly understands. Since the founding of the Yamu Star region, the Star Destiny disk has never been fully ignited. Even the most powerful martial artists have only managed to light less than half of it. After that, the energy fades. It's a mystery. They then arrive before a gigantic stargate, stepping off their spaceship. As they walk toward the stage, they see an old man standing there, holding a staff. The area is already crowded with people eager to witness what's to come. As RMC steps onto the stage with Farland, the elder looks at him and begins explaining, that is Lord Mo Yen, the Dean of Chunwei Academy in the Yamu Star District, one of the most formidable beings in the entire star region. RMC thinks. He radiates the same aura as Karis. At least a level 12 powerhouse, a true living top-tier expert. He must be in charge of conducting the test. Suddenly, another spaceship descends from the sky, and two individuals step out, walking with purpose toward the stage. They bow respectfully before the Dean. RMC's expression sharpens as he observes their presence. Such an overwhelming aura, he thinks. He's actually a level 12 martial artist. His strength rivals that of the Dean of Tianwei Academy. Having a level 12 head of security reflects the deep foundation of the Star Marquis family. The silent, Imposing young man then speaks. My father asked me to convey his greetings to you, Dina Mo Yin. The dean responds politely. I appreciate Mark Lono's thoughts. But the opening of the Starfall Fate plate this time isn't just because of you. The young man asks, is there someone here you're particularly looking forward to seeing? The dean chuckles and responds, let's begin first. We'll talk afterward. He lifts his staff, pointing to the sky. You all are here at the perfect moment. The once-in-a-millennium Starfall Fate plate aptitude test is about to begin. Please step forward quickly. I wonder what surprises the so-called genius, as mentioned by the chief enforcer, will bring today. RMC listens intently, hanging on to every word. The test had officially begun. A bald man confidently raised his hand, determined to be the first to step up. All eyes turned to him, filled with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. With an uncertain gaze, the man wielding a cane looked at him and softly urged, do it well, and don't get nervous. The bald man fell to his knees before him. With eyes shining with resolve, he placed his hand over his chest, bowed respectfully, and addressed the figure as Lord Baron. He urged him to remain calm, promising he would not let him down. Baron's gaze fixated on him, a wicked smile creeping across his face. He whispered promises that if he performed well, he would set him free, and perhaps even elevate him to true nobility among the firmament. Hearing this, the man's eyes widened with joy. He nodded determinedly, vowing to do his best. Behind them, RMC observed silently, his gaze fixed on the tattoo on the man's shoulder, an unmistakable mark of a slave. With a serene expression, Lon extended his hand, a gentle smile on his face. He explained that many hereditary nobles from outside the stars, when stagnating at power level 11, feared losing their titles due to lack of strength. To avoid this, they sought to recruit talented martial cultivators through various channels. Most notably, the interstellar slave market, where promising youth with high martial potential occasionally appeared. Lu Shang said nothing, sinking into his thoughts. Meanwhile, the silent gaze of our boy lingered on the bald man with a vacant expression. Lon approached Lu Shang, his eyes shining with confidence. Not everyone has the power to control their own destiny like you, he said softly. Those desperate to preserve their noble titles will do anything to command a powerful martial cultivator. Lu Shang turned to Lon, surprised. Why don't the nobles recruit from within their own territories? He asked. Lon closed his eyes thoughtfully before replying. You're overthinking it. It's easier to win the grand prize in the interstellar lottery than to expect a genius with top-tier talent to be born in a small piece of land. He chuckled inwardly at the thought. Imagine lifting someone like you after you come in first place, finding you in the White Nebula and bringing you back. It's practically like hitting the jackpot of the stellar lottery. At that moment, the stellar destiny disk activated, enormous and shimmering. The bald man approached it with focused anticipation, channeling his energy into a powerful blade. Carefully, he cut his palm, blood beginning to flow freely. His eyes shone with determination as he placed his hand on the disc, releasing martial flames that entered into it. Moments later, one of the pearls on the disc shone brightly, capturing everyone's attention and causing a ripple of surprise. The man reached up, touching his head in confusion, his eyes widening in disbelief. Only one pearl had lit up. Baron's face darkened with anger. He kicked the ground in frustration, shouting at the bald man, "Spin it. Spin the stellar scheme with all your might." With a resolute expression, the bald man seized the disc, took a deep breath, and prepared to spin. He summoned all his strength, determined to demonstrate his power. But despite his efforts, the disc remained motionless. No matter how hard he tried, it didn't budge. Silence fell over the crowd, puzzled and tense. Not giving up, the man summoned his martial spirit, a formidable creature that appeared in a surge of energy. It grasped the stellar disc, ready to spin. Lan's eyes widened in astonishment as he recognized the spirit's level. Level 9, with a body measuring 7,000 meters. The demonic trident of level 10 barely reached 8,000 meters. The spirit's talent was impressive, but not enough to turn heads among the crowd. Gradually, the efforts of the man bore fruit. The previously lit pearl shone even more intensely, illuminating the surroundings. Baron's eyes filled with joy, a broad smile spreading across his face. He couldn't believe the pearl was glowing so brightly. Soon, a second pearl shone with equal brilliance, but the man's strength waned, and he collapsed to the ground. Lu Shang remained calm, watching closely. He quickly realized that spinning the stellar disc drained the strength of a level 9 warrior, an exhausting task. The disc intrigued him deeply, and Mo Yun, holding his magic staff, approached the fallen man and announced that 2 bright pearls had lit up. His life condition level was extraordinary, 2 stars, falling short of the standard for admission. The man's face contorted with fear as sweat poured down him. Baron exploded with rage, cursing the slave traders. They had assured him the man was a genius with over 5 extraordinary stars, yet he proved useless. It was a scam. His men dragged the bald man away, returning him to a prison cell on the spaceship, tears in his eyes and despair in his heart. One by one, others stepped forward to take their tests. Lu Shang crossed his arms, pondering quietly. He knew patience was key. After careful observation and consulting Lan, he understood the evaluation system of the Destiny Star Disc. The moment blood touched the disc, its assessment was made. White light for extraordinary, blue for dawn star, yellow for bright moon, and red for radiant sun, the highest level. So far, the highest achieved was dawn. A long-haired warrior stepped forward silently. With unwavering determination, he extended his hands, focused intensely, and commanded the disc to spin. A powerful wave of energy radiated from him as the disc responded, spinning rapidly. 1 pearl lit up, then several seconds later, 7 pearls shone brightly. Emoya nodded approvingly. 7-star dawn level, he announced, meets the admission standards. The crowd was stunned. No one had ever seen such a display. An elder with a beard and a beautiful woman with elf ears approached the warrior, nodding in approval. Well done, the elder said, stroking his beard. I know I wasn't wrong about you. From this moment, no one else can come between you and Lilith. He placed a hand on his daughter's back and smiled. When we return, I'll arrange your wedding. Lilith, go meet your husband. Lilith nodded nervously and approached her future husband, offering her congratulations. But Farron remained cold and distant, waving her off dismissively. There's no need for words, he said coldly. We're not compatible. It's better this way. Without another word, he turned and walked away. Lilith and her father stared after him, stunned and confused. Lilith's eyes welled with tears, her heart aching with frustration as she blamed her father for the sudden change. Farron passed by Lan, who watched him with a calm, knowing smile. This is the classic cliché, Lan mused softly. The one who was once despised is now beyond reach. He crossed his arms, explaining to Lu Shang that such betrayals were the risk of discovering talents within one's own territory. Investing in someone means accepting that, once they rise in fame, they might turn their back on you, he said. RMC looked at him thoughtfully, touching his chin. Your father treats his daughter like merchandise, he remarked, betting everything on talent only to end up empty-handed. That's normal in his world. He then asked Lan what he thought of his own character. Lan put an arm around Lu Shang's neck, smiling. Someone who takes the time every day to talk with their family, even from 500 light years away, can't have such a terrible character, he said. Besides, this is part of the moral traditions of your Dragon Kingdom. I find it admirable. Silence fell between them. Lan then turned to Lu Shang, a cheerful smile on his face. Look at Lan Ge, he said. It's finally his turn. He's the real star of this test. The others are just supporting cast. Lu Shang looked up curiously. Lan stepped onto the stage, walking confidently toward Mo Yun. Do your best, Mo Yun said encouragingly. Lan closed his eyes, focusing his martial energy into his forehead. Soon, a third demonic eye appeared. With his body radiating a fierce red aura, Lan Ge extended his hand, feeling it was time to demonstrate his true strength. The crowd watched intently, knowing that this test had been arranged almost exclusively for him. He was descended from a noble bloodline of Maris Lana, a legendary level 13 warrior, and everyone was eager to see what kind of constitution his talent would reveal. Lan Ge activated the stellar disc, and the pearls began to emit an intense golden glow. The other warriors couldn't help but panic and sweat, sensing the formidable energy. Mo Yun, however, remained composed, recognizing that this was exactly what he had anticipated. Lan Ge was no ordinary talent. Extending his hands, flames erupted from his body as his martial spirit started to materialize. Slowly but surely, Lan Ge's spiritual manifestation grew larger and larger. Surrounded by blazing martial flames, it expanded into an enormous figure, dwarfing the stellar disc itself. making it look like a mere toy in comparison. Lan Gei's eyes widened in astonishment as he realized that his spiritual form had reached a staggering height of 50,000 meters. The sight was awe-inspiring, a true testament to his extraordinary power. Lu Shang watched quietly, deep in thought, as Lan Gei's spiritual manifestation grew larger and larger, enveloped in blazing martial flames. His spirit soared to an astonishing height of 50,000 meters, an impressive display of power that left everyone in stunned silence. As soon as Lanch activates his Dharma body for the trial, it begins to expand ceaselessly, leaving everyone stunned. Even at that very moment, Lanch's Dharma body kept growing. Witnessing this, onlookers gasp in amazement. It's still enlarging. It has already reached 80,000 meters, someone exclaims. Another person adds, Lord Lanch is still at level 10, right? Right? At this stage, even a person at level 11 might not be capable of such a feat. The crowd starts murmuring among themselves while gazing at Lanch. Lord Lanch, so formidable. The dean standing behind them also remarks in awe, Lanch has made incredible progress. It seems he's determined to break through to the solar level this time. Yet, Lanch shows no signs of stopping. He continues to increase his Dharma body size. Meanwhile, Foray, who appears somewhat unsettled after witnessing Lanch's display, speaks anxiously. It's clear that Lord Lano personally adjusted his gene sequence. Lanch's genes have reached a new peak this time. Hearing this, our MC also comments, can a supernatural body be controlled like this? Then, with a thoughtful smile, he adds, a synthetic gene warrior with a pointed head kind of resembles someone. Maybe I should even give him a bit of the 9 dragon power. Upon hearing this from RMC, Faray asks for clarification. RMC responds with a smile, nothing special. I was just speaking casually. Pointing toward Lanch, Faray then says, look quickly. He's gathering his energy. It seems he's preparing to unleash his full strength to activate the Starfall disc. Watching closely, Lanch advances toward the disc after accumulating his energy. Once in position, he begins channeling all his power into it. Our MC is slightly taken aback and wonders if this truly reflects the strength of his Dharma body. As Lanch's energy flows into the disc, it slowly begins to lift the power pointer. Wanting even better results, Lanch pours more of his energy into the device, astonishing everyone because he had already surpassed the clear star phase. The crowd is surprised, but Lanch doesn't stop. He keeps funneling his power into the disc. As a result, the star levels on the disc keep escalating, eventually reaching level 9. Seeing this, the crowd erupts in joy and starts shouting excitedly. Even the college dean, witnessing this, is stunned and exclaims with excitement. Not only did his bloodline reach the Radiant Moon level, but he's also achieved a 9-star rating. It's been thousands of years since I saw this. RMC and Faray continue observing Lanch's progress. Then Faray, adopting a serious tone, states, unbelievable. Reaching 9 stars is akin to attaining an extraordinary physique compared to Morningstar. The difference between the Radiant Moon bloodline and others is like comparing an elephant to an ant. How can they even compete? Despite this, Lanch persists, pouring more energy into the disc because stopping now isn't an option for him. This process continues for some time until Lanch finally channels all his remaining power into the disc, causing a golden light to shoot into the sky, signifying an extraordinary breakthrough. The dean, overwhelmed with excitement, shouts, the solar level. It's the solar level. Lanch has shattered his limits. He's reached the 1-star solar realm. By now, Lanch is utterly exhausted. All his remaining strength has been drained, leaving him weak and unsteady. He begins trembling slightly. Just then, a guard arrives swiftly, catching Lanch before he collapses from exhaustion. The guard supports him and says, you've worked hard, sir. The master will be proud. With barely enough strength to speak, Lanch weakly replies, I finally succeeded. Hearing this, the guard thinks privately. As expected, only powerful bloodlines and genes can achieve such martial prowess. It's just a pity I'm not part of that family. The gap in heritage is truly difficult to bridge. Everyone standing nearby is stunned, realizing that not only did his bloodline hit its limit, but he also managed to leap to the solar realm on the spot. The gap between Morningstar and Radiant Moon was already vast, and now it's even greater. Some onlookers begin whispering among themselves. So in the end, only those from deeply rooted martial families can truly stand out. Meanwhile, on the stage, the dean approaches and places a hand on Lanch's shoulder, saying proudly, well done, Lanch. Your father's wish has finally come true. News of a solar-level genius spreading across the entire Yamu Star Zone causes a stir among the high-ranking authorities. At that moment, a man is informed of the news by a guard. As soon as he hears, he rises abruptly from his seat, shock evident on his face, and asks, "What did you just say?" A Sun class. The news quickly spreads, and everyone learns about Lanch's incredible achievement. Next, our focus shifts to the Yamu Federation Congress, where a group of key figures has assembled. Their expressions are serious. One elder speaks gravely. That young fellow from the Marquis family has completed his talent test. Solar level. Solar level. TSK, TSK. If only he were in our star zone. What a tragedy. He then orders, begin preparations for a grand celebration to honor Lanch, the nephew of the Marquis Lanos, for his bloodline advancement. But suddenly, he's interrupted by a voice that cuts through the air. Hearing this, the elder turns to see a young woman standing behind him, wearing a playful smile. She addresses everyone present, saying, "Hold on a moment, Mr. Congressman. I have a little surprise for you. Please wait and see. It will be his turn very soon." She continues, "A genius named Lu Shang was pulled back from the White Mist Star Zone by my subordinate, Far. He's now officially one of us." Hearing this, the elder asks, "A genius from the White Mist side? What level is he?" The girl responds calmly, "I don't know exactly, but he shouldn't be weaker than Lanch. If Far is truthful, he should be at least at the solar level." The elder is stunned, exclaiming in disbelief, "What did you say?" It's been ages since a solar-level genius appeared in the Yamu Star Zone. He immediately orders, "Let's head to the testing site right now." The story then shifts back to the exam area, where Far is receiving multiple messages and calls. He's on a call, speaking into his device. "My lord, yes, I'll arrange for Lu Shang to go now." Once the call ends, Far approaches RMC and says, "All right, it's your turn now, Lu Shang." RMC nods in agreement and begins walking toward the stage. As he moves, Foray silently thinks to himself, everyone believes the main act is over and nothing more to expect. They didn't see this coming. I've already checked the answers. Lu Shang is at least a solar-level extraordinary life form. In some respects, he might even surpass that, a born genius, not one of those artificial types. He then makes his way toward the stage, possibly accompanied by RMC. Some spectators notice him and whisper, "Is that Far?" He was granted nobility less than 1,000 years ago, still in his prime, with a solid title. Why is he joining the excitement? Maybe the young man with him has real potential. But honestly, who could compare to Lord Lanch? Forget it, better to disperse. Watching RMC, Foray silently hopes, "Lu Shang, don't let me down." As RMC steps onto the stage, he approaches the disc and begins channeling his mental energy. Suddenly, he senses something unusual, and reacting instinctively, he announces, "My spiritual power can't penetrate. Some mysterious force is blocking it completely." At that moment, he makes a small cut on his palm, and blood begins to flow. Holding out his bloodstained hand, RMC smiles and says, "Nothing worth investigating." RMC, upon approaching the testing disc, first lightly cuts his hand to initiate the test, then places that hand firmly onto the disc. As his spiritual energy begins to flow from his hand into the device, the power measuring needle attached to the disc starts to move automatically. The moment the needle begins to shift on its own, Far, standing behind him, is taken aback, utterly shocked, wondering what just transpired. Meanwhile, on the stage, the primary type of power within our hero continues to emanate from his body and pour into the disc. As he pushes a bit more power into it, a formidable pressure starts to build around the area. A swirling wave of fiery energy emerges and begins to spiral directly in front of the disc. As soon as the disc detects this massive influx of power, the needle inside begins to spin in circles on its own. Witnessing this, the spectators become completely stunned. When Far sees that our hero's result reaches the sun level, he is initially in disbelief. Then, filled with excitement, he shouts, "This is truly sun class. No, this isn't just any sun class. This surpasses even Lanza's sun class level." The onlookers, overwhelmed by what they've just seen, whisper among themselves in shock. Some are so stunned they can't speak, while others keep asking, "What just happened?" No one truly understands what's unfolding, and a shared question lingers in everyone's mind. Who is this guy? Meanwhile, our hero stands calmly on the stage. On the other side, Both Lands and the Dean are equally stunned upon seeing his result. Lands, in utter disbelief, exclaims, "What kind of starborn power radiates such brilliance?" The Dean, standing nearby, nods in astonishment and says, "This young man is truly incredible." He's reached Sunclass. Back on stage, our hero looks at his Sunclass level result with a confident smile, as if to say, "Just Sunclass? That might still not be my limit." As he utters these words, a dark-colored energy suddenly bursts out from his body and strikes the disc directly. The moment this power hits, a new disturbance begins to form within the device. Laughing softly, he declares, "I'm not satisfied with this result," then roars loudly, channeling even more power from deep within himself into the disc. Instantly, massive waves of fire erupt around him, and from those flames, spiritual firebirds begin to emerge. At that exact moment, an overwhelming energy burst from our hero's body, shooting straight into the sky. The magnitude of this power is so immense that everyone present struggles to stand properly. Witnessing it, they are utterly stunned, wondering what kind of power this could be. Someone gasps and says, "The atmosphere and space seem to have been warped by him." Suddenly, someone's gaze is caught by something in the sky. He points upward and shouts, "Look up there! Something's in the sky." As others follow his gaze, their faces fill with fear. They're no longer just stunned, they're deeply afraid. What is that thing? In that moment, many of the spectators realize a profound truth. The talent gap in this world is insurmountable in a lifetime. Those born with exceptional gifts are simply born that way, and no one can truly compete with them. Some spectators even smile in amazement, watching this unfold. Far, meanwhile, is trembling with shock. He cannot believe his own eyes. In disbelief, he mutters, "How is this possible?" His Dharma form alone measures 16,000 meters, twice as powerful as his Super Raid Flame and Thunder Dharma forms, yet his aura remains at only level 9. Standing beside him, the Dean is overwhelmed with astonishment as well. Suddenly, the Dean drops to the ground in shock, shouting, "Anomalies! So many anomalies! He's only at level 9. How is this possible? Could he be?" Back on stage, after revealing his Dharma body, our hero calmly controls his enormous form and states, "The Dharma form is too large and difficult to manage. It's better to focus all my power into my body." Then, moving his hands toward the disc, he adds, "Let's try again." Placing his hand back on the device, he commands, "Spin it again for me." With a loud shout, he channels his spiritual energy back into the disc. As soon as the disc senses his power, it begins to spin rapidly, with the needle rotating ceaselessly. On the other side, Lands is utterly stunned by our hero's power. The pressure he exerts is so overwhelming that even he struggles to stand. Having already used his own power earlier, he is now more strained than ever. His bodyguard rushes to support him, asking, "Young master, are you all right?" Blood is dripping from Lands' mouth and eyes as he gazes at the scene. He whispers, "How can this be? How is this possible?" His bodyguard also looks at our hero, thinking to himself, Lands had to use both hands to push the Starfall fate plate, but this young man did it with just one hand, as easily as rolling a tire. Is this even reasonable? Is this scientifically possible? Where did this power come from? Is this still the Subjupit region? Meanwhile, on stage, the needle of the disc spins so fast that no one can believe their eyes. The continuous surge of power from our hero prevents the needle from stopping. His strength is so immense that it creates a pressure that affects the entire area. At that moment, a spaceship appears in the sky. Inside, the same girl who had come to see our hero exclaims in astonishment, "This power! Words can't even describe it. I thought Far had found someone with extraordinary talent, but I didn't expect a genius as bright as the sun." Standing nearby, an old man, witnessing our hero's display, says in disbelief, 9 stars. No, the sun is the pinnacle, and this is far beyond that. He then orders his servant to increase the spaceship's speed so they can see our hero up close. "Full speed ahead," he commands. The servant responds, "Understood." Back on stage, when our hero notices the disc's needle approaching a halt, he wonders aloud, is this only 9 stars of the sun level? He begins to ponder what might be above the sun. Lands didn't tell him, so curiosity sparks within him. He decides to push further, cautioning himself not to break the star plate. Immediately, he channels even more power into the disc, shouting, "Hold on for me." unleashing the God Illumination Underworld King scripture. With this vital energy buff active, he pours his power into the device again. Once more, the disc begins to shake violently under the immense pressure. Watching from afar, Lanz exclaims in shock, "Impossible! Absolutely impossible!" Even in the main star region of the Serpentine Galaxy, only a handful of beings surpass the sun. How could he do this? His bodyguard, equally stunned, says, 9 stars of the sun, yet he's not satisfied with the ultimate. Achieving anything beyond the sun is no easy feat. This is extraordinary. Others watching also marvel at the scene, commenting that the Starfall fate plate is spinning so fast it's making a mechanical jamming sound, meaning the path forward might be blocked. Meanwhile, our hero, seeing no further significant reaction inside the disc, mutters grimly, "What's happening? Is this real?" But in his excitement, he shouts once more, "I still have strength. My stellar supreme body is definitely more than just 9 stars of the sun. Since that's not enough, I'll push even further." He channels his power into the disc again. The 10,000 immortal cells within Lu Sheng ignite wildly, transforming and evolving anew. A golden divine light radiates from the center of his brow, like a third eye of a god. And that was it for this chapter. Comment Apple to let me know that you have watched till the end. Thanks.